What up, what up, what up, everybody? Y'all know what it is. It is Sunday. Time for Sister Conversations in Black. I'm your girl, Jackie Johnson.
And I am LaQuisha.
And this is episode 24, Talk to Me. Y'all ready to get into it? So this is episode 24, Talk to Me. As we were doing our podcast 2 weeks ago, we were talking, and this kind of came up at the end of communication kept coming up throughout the conversation. So we decided, hey, why not continue the conversation, the following podcast, with an episode about communication, the lack thereof, communication issues, etc. So this week, our podcast is episode 24, Talk to Me. I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to our sis, LaQuisha, and she's going to kick us off. Let's go, sis. What you got?
So as my sister said, this episode is about talk to me and healthy communications in all types of relationships, job, marriage, whatever, friendship. And so we definitely want to hit on some of those points. The first point I want to start with is when you're learning how to be an effective communicator, you have to have empathy. I didn't say sympathy. I said sympathy is when you feel sorrowful or you feel sad for what is going on with someone else. Empathy is you having the ability to place yourself in that other person's shoes. So I've got a little clip here on empathy because some may not know the difference. It's a little cartoon flick. It's only a minute long. So let me go ahead and share my screen. Oh, I'm not able to do it. Okay. I'm not able to do it right now. And so I don't know how I can do that. I'll put the clip on Facebook later, but empathy is the ability, and I wanted to kind of show a clip to show an example of it. The ability to place yourself in someone else's shoes. Okay, that's point number one. People do not like communicating with others who are only interested in telling you what they want to tell you. Hear me. People do not like communicating with others who are only interested in telling you what they want to tell you and not listen to what you have to say.
That's good.
You ever been talking to somebody and they get maybe the first 3 words that you say, and then they already are formulating an opinion on the first 3 words that you said? You haven't even finished your comment. A lot of times that's the reason that arguments ensue, and that's the reason that a lot of arguments are not solved, especially in relationships, because you could tell a person, come and get your, and they thinking you say come and get your belongings, or I want you out of my house, because we have thoughts on top of thoughts. And you could have been telling somebody, come and get your feelings. You could have been telling somebody anything.
Come and get your feelings.
Ain't that what Jasmine Sullivan say? Pick
right. I had a moment.
Yeah. Effective communication requires active listening. So people need to practice listening until it becomes second nature. Right. I am always going to listen first, because you can't formulate an opinion if asked until you get the totality of the situation. And then look at what I said. I said you cannot formulate an opinion if asked. What you mean? Sometimes folks ain't asking you for your opinion. They just want you to listen. So I said you formulate opinions unless you're asked. You can't do that until you get the totality of the situation. Okay, you got to hear everything from the beginning on down. So what is active listening? Active listening involves hearing, understanding, and comprehending. Now, a lot of folks can hear you,
Right.
they can understand what you're saying, but do they comprehend what you're saying?
That's a
Some
difference.
people say tomato, some say tomato. Okay, you heard me say tomato. You understand that I'm talking about a tomato, but if you don't comprehend, you won't know that I'm speaking of a fruit. And of those that didn't know, a tomato is a fruit.
It is a fruit.
Okay, it is a fruit. So that is the difference. Active listening involves hearing and understanding and comprehending what a person is saying to you. Unless you understand clearly what a person is telling you, you can't respond appropriately. How many situations have people gotten into where they didn't respond appropriately because they did not comprehend what the person was saying? We need to gain clarification by asking questions. And sometimes, I used to do this with my young people, I would rephrase.
Yes.
I would rephrase because you need to understand that learning style of that person.
Can I say something right there though? Because I also learned that as a good communication skill.
Mhm.
But I find that most people are annoyed when you repeat things back to them. They act like you're trying to act like they slow. You know what I'm saying? And I literally be like, no, I'm not trying to say you're slow or you're not comprehending. I'm trying to make sure I'm understanding what you're saying to me.
Right.
So I'll say something like, so what I'm understanding you're saying is that you feel like I don't let you talk. You feel like I cut you off. Is that what you're saying to me? And they'll get irritated, like, I just did that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, no, I'm trying to effectively communicate with you to make sure we don't have no misunderstandings. But when people don't know how to communicate properly, they assume that you're being funny when you repeat yourself. And so you might have to say, no, I'm not being funny. I don't think you're slow. I'm trying to make sure that I understand correctly what you were saying to me.
And you just made a good point. When you're asking for clarification or when you're rephrasing, it is often how you're rephrasing. So what you said was, no, I'm trying to understand. So if you lead to that before you rephrase, then maybe people will know, okay, this person really doesn't understand. Because again, we have different learning styles. Some people learn on the job, some people learn in the books. Some people don't learn until they actually do it.
Working, doing it.
On it. So you have to understand the learning style of the people that you or the person that you're speaking to. And oftentimes you don't take the time to learn that person's learning style. Okay. They may not have been a good reader. So if you come in with the aptitudes and the B aptitudes and the socialism and all of that, they ain't gonna understand them words because they maybe do not have a diverse dialect like you do. So dealing with us who are communicators, we need to listen to find, and that's also the goes to preachers as well. We need to listen to define what that person's learning style is. And let me tell you, when you are in this, I don't want to call it a line of work, but when you have to administer social skills and communication skills, that is one of the first things that should be taught is who you are speaking to, who you are representing. You're not going to walk into a boardroom and speak to them the way you would your homegirls. So it is all about the audience in which you are speaking to.
Absolutely. I agree.
So, nonverbal communication. The words we choose make up just about 7% of the message being conveyed. Well, God, which makes nonverbal communication all the more important. Body language is an important communication tool. Your body language should help convey your words. Look, let me say this. Back in the day, You had a problem with somebody, baby, sometimes you ain't even need to say nothing. It was all about your post-up stance.
Okay.
You post up a certain way, they already know what time it is.
They already know what it is.
Period.
That's fact.
No words need to be conveyed.
Yeah.
But when you're in a relationship, now we're going to go down this road. A lot of times when you're in a relationship and you're arguing, your stance, your body language is saying more than your words. Because you could be telling the person, I really love you. Oh, I love you. I mean, they not gonna take it that you love them. They gonna be like, why are you yelling at me? Why are you cussing at me? And you haven't even said a cuss word, but your body language is expressing that you love them through an anger.
Or when sometimes people be like, I hear you, I understand what you're saying, but it's like they looking off somewhere else. They look like they just not even a part of the conversation. You know what I'm saying? Like body language is an important part of communication that most people don't understand. And that's even with our children sometimes. Like I know sometimes with my youngest, we have bad communication because I don't like attitudes. And the moment your body language show me that you have an attitude, like I'm gonna say like, hey, I ain't got time for no attitude. And the first thing they say is, I didn't say nothing. No, but your body language is showing that you have an attitude, that you have a problem. Like fix that. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's a thing that we're not conscious of the way we look to other people, you know, when we're communicating. You know what I'm saying? Like sometimes you can come off super aggressive. Sometimes you can come off super offensive. And it's not about the words you're saying, it's your body language. It's the look. It's, you know, if you all rah, 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 you know what I mean? Like it's so many things that are nonverbal that communicate something to the next person. You know, just like you use the example, I love you, but they being angry or whatever, you don't believe that. But if I'm like, I love you, you know, I love you. Like you feel that. You understand what I'm saying? Or I can't stand you. Do you think I can't stand you? You know what I'm saying? Like, so you're absolutely right. Nonverbal communication is strongest. It's stronger than just hearing words.
It is. It is. I am guilty. I'm working on it, but I have a dismissive nonverbal communication.
Yes, you do. Yes, she
does.
does.
Agree.
Yes, she does.
Unless you do.
Like I don't know. I don't care what you're saying. You heard what I said.
I could be looking at you square in the face and be thinking in my mind, I don't really have time for this. You could be telling me something and I'll respond like this. Oh yeah? Yeah. Right. And that's all you would get from me. Not a whole bunch of words, just, or if I hit you with the one word response and I say to you, understandable. That's it. Dismissive. And I bring this up because that is not healthy. That's not healthy communication to be dismissive. Okay? Because you are letting that person know you don't care about what they're talking about.
Right.
In a non-verbal way. Seriously. So if you have that issue, as I do, we need to work on that. Me need to work on that. Because people will assume that you think that you're higher than them, or you don't care about the needs of others. And that couldn't be further from the truth. It could be just that maybe I'm dealing with something at the moment. And so I have to learn, instead of listening to you, give me just 1 second. Let me go over here and deal with my stuff. Right. Or take a few minutes and then I'll come back to you. instead of dismissing people. That's not healthy either. And I just told y'all something about myself. It ain't healthy.
Well, I think everybody has some type of nonverbal thing they need to fix. For me is I will stare at you. I didn't even notice. My son brought it up. He was like, "Why are you looking at me like that?" And I was like, looking at you
And
like,
that's look. That's the look. Do it again. That's the look.
right.
That's the look. Where you know she's gonna follow that look up with, well, I don't know if I agree with that.
Right. I did not realize I do have that stare like.
Yeah, that's that look. That look. That one right there. I think I done seen it in some of your pictures.
Wait. Yeah, that is but what's funny is that look is interpreted so many different ways, but really it's me processing what I'm hearing or seeing. And it's like I'm trying to think before I speak, but my face is just like,
yeah, you don't have a good poker face.
No, because you look at my face and you know something going on inside her over there. Like some working, them wheels is turning. Like, so yeah. So I think we all have some type of nonverbal thing we need to work out. I also am very animated. So I talk with my hands, especially if it's some beef. Like, what you want to do? Well, what? Like,
which was coming to my next point. Yeah, we need to consider the factors of tone of voice.
Yes.
Hand gestures and ensuring eye contact. Now, in some cultures, the women do not give you eye contact. In some cultures, again, that goes back to the first point, knowing your audience.
Yes.
Okay. In some cultures, they are not going to. They may talk to you with their head down. They're not going to do.
And that makes a good point, sis, because a lot of times people think that something being said or done by somebody is disrespectful or whatever, and they don't understand that in their culture, that's how they do things. And so I think it's super important because, like, I live in a predominantly Hispanic neighborhood. So I deal with predominantly Hispanic people. And so some things I was just like, these people so freaking disrespectful, like, you know what I mean? And like I almost like wanted to fight every week, like going to the grocery store and stuff. And then you just when you start to get to know people, like you just see this is just a part of who they are. Like they don't mean to be disrespectful. It's just how they move around. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, it's a culture shock to you when that's not how your culture is. Like that would be disrespectful in our culture. You know what I mean? That would be rude. That would be like, you know what I mean? And so you're absolutely right. You have to know who you're talking to.
Yeah, you do. We see it as rude when somebody cut us in line, but I learned from a friend.
Girl, that, about, what you
in the country that they were from, it was real congested and very packed. And so it was kind of like, because it's very congested and packed, everybody would be kind of reaching for some of the same things. There was no excuse me.
Right.
They didn't have the space to do that. And so I had to learn that the hard way because I don't like people standing close to me.
Yeah. Or what you mentioned with no excuse me, because that's a pet peeve. Because I definitely be like, you don't know how to say excuse me? Like I be getting a whole confrontation because somebody, I felt like it's just rude, but they don't. That's not their mannerism. That's not their customs.
And it's up to us to teach them. I know some people say, well, they over here in this country now, they should learn. They ain't gonna learn if you don't teach them. Right. Don't do what I did. And when people would stand close to me, I would act like I'm finna turn around and hit them with my purse.
Oh my God,
that's a fact.
Mess.
That is a fact. I wouldn't do that. So yeah, don't do that. A person is going to be encouraged to speak openly with you if you are relaxed and have a friendly tone. Adopt an open stance with relaxed arms and open arms. It is important that you make eye contact with the person you are communicating with, but be careful that you do not stare at them, as that is definitely uncomfortable. Okay. So, there's a certain stance that you
I
need
gotta work on that one because I'll be like,
that don't do what she doing. That don't do
that's
that.
exactly how I do too.
Now,
You
am
got
I
something to
telling
say?
you to come to them and be like, come to me? No, I'm not saying that, but there's a way that you can present yourself that would make you approachable.
Mhm.
Right? All
Well,
right.
that makes sense too because I used to always say like people like think I'm mean. And I'm like, I'm not mean. I'm like the sweetest person, the most easy to talk to person. But I guess it's the resting face. Cause I look serious. I guess when I'm not paying attention to nobody or whatever, I guess I have a very serious, intense resting face because people always say, I thought you were mean. I didn't know if you liked me, but then I started talking to you and you're so joyful. And I'm just like, this is why I'm naturally happy.
And
I just don't walk around with a smile because my cheeks hurt.
I'm gonna say this with you just making that point that people look at you and they think that you're mean.
You look mean. You definitely look mean.
Who?
You. Your resting face is like, I will beat you with my ruler.
I mean, I've had it. A lot of people say I don't smile on pictures, but look, and I don't. But here's the thing: Black women are not mean. We're not mad. I need to say this: we're not.
Most
angry.
of us aren't.
Most of us, we are not angry. We are not all walking around miserable and bitter.
But we ain't got time.
We don't. But the misconception is that we are angry. The misconception is that we are always upset or ready to jump off. We're not.
Yeah.
We enjoy laughter. We enjoy fun. We enjoy good times. You just have to get to know us. You automatically assume that we are some way because society has painted us as this.
Right.
We don't necessarily have to have an angry face.
Yeah.
You're going to assume that it's an angry face, and we could be having a relaxed day. But that is the misconception,
right.
Even in media, that has been portrayed about life. So I need to say,
and some of that comes from our own people as well.
It does.
Like let's just be 100. Like I don't even want to get into that whole. I don't want a Black woman because she act like she don't need no man. I don't want no Black woman because she got too much attitude. I don't want no Black woman.
We gotta hit it because it's a part of communication. It's a part
for real. Like seriously.
Mm-hmm. You are portraying something about us that is not true. Exactly. Because of whatever you saw on TV.
But I ain't gonna lie, if I hear one more Black man say that, I'm gonna scream.
And that's what I was gonna say. Who's saying it?
If I hear one more Black man say, y'all got too much attitude, y'all this and y'all that, I am going to scream because what I want to say is, nigga, if we is, it's because of you.
Yeah.
Stop playing. Like, but the reality is, like she said, most Black women are not angry, don't have a bad attitude. We can get one, but every woman can get a bad attitude.
Correct.
Every woman can talk smart out of her mouth. You understand what I'm saying? But that's not every woman's way.
Correct.
It's not. But you can't take those stereotypes and you can't even take your own personal experiences and put that upon every Black woman. Just like we can't take those experiences and put it on every Black man. You understand what I'm saying? I think we talked about this in one of our previous episodes. We said, if I've only had a dealing with 5 Black men and 3 of them have been a certain way, then that is my perception has been formulated by those very limited experiences. But that's not a reality. That's not a real number for me to be able to, put that on the entire race of people or even the majority. So the
Correct.
ratio is just off. You know, you can only say the men that I have dealt with, this is what I have experienced, but not to judge everybody according to that.
Correct.
And so it's
So
the
that
same.
definitely it needed to be addressed, and it'll probably be addressed again. We are
Because I'm
not
gonna
like
talk to
that.
you. I'm gonna tell you right now, homeboy,
Yeah,
bro, listen to me real well. My name is Jackie Johnson. If you run
yeah.
into me outside somewhere in LA somewhere or wherever, and I hear you talking about black women got an attitude, and that's why you dating whoever, I'm gonna punch you in your eye. I'm gonna tell you right now, boop, I'm gonna punch you in your eye.
We supposed to be talking about healthy communication. Um,
Yep, that's healthy communication.
it's not.
Punch him in the eye. Who you calling him?
It's not. Don't listen to that part.
Okay, yo, that's not healthy communication. Let's back it up. That's how you have to talk to your inner self sometimes. If your
Yeah.
inner self is telling you exactly what you don't need to do. Okay, so roll it back. Okay,
Roll
sis,
it back.
tell
Okay.
them healthy communication.
Communicators, just have an open stance when somebody wants to speak to you, because you're also looking at their nonverbal skills or their nonverbal signals as well. Those signals will give you an insight to how that person is feeling. Do not punch them in the eye.
Don't punch him in the eye.
Okay.
You're
Now,
gonna go to jail.
be clear and be concise. Convey your message using as few words as possible. So,
Wait a minute. What did you say? As few words?
yes, as few. I know that's hard. I learned a very long time ago when I was going to an
I may
interview.
need another communication class.
Look, I learned a very long time ago when I was going to an interview. KISS, KISS. Keep it simple,
Okay.
stupid.
Okay.
Do not elaborate. Sometimes a person will understand you better with a few words versus that book that you getting ready to text them.
No, you're gonna get yourself in trouble with that book.
I have been guilty of texting an entire book, okay, when I could have just said a few words and been done with it.
I definitely do that.
Right? So, and don't get me wrong, it is good to be able to express yourself because you got to get it out, right? But we need to know the moment in which it is time to do that.
Well, the problem is everybody don't have the capacity to listen or read all of that. And so before they even get to your point, they're gonna dismiss it. So I get it. I get why the fewer words is better.
Mm-hmm.
And probably choosing your words is better too, because if you come off in attack mode, they gonna turn you off automatically. They ain't heard nothing you said. They pretending to pay attention just so this conversation can be over.
So true. I done got pages of a text. I remember this girl texted me. This probably was earlier this year. She texted me a whole, I don't know how long it was. It was like pages of text. I ain't read none of it.
Oh my Lord.
I ain't read a drop. I looked at it and I seen the name. I was like, boop, delete. Period. And one of them I opened up, which is how I knew that it was gonna be pages and pages,
Right.
pages of stuff. Because you can kind of tell. I was like, I ain't got time to read this. Swipe left.
Mm-mm.
We're not reading it. We ain't read 3-4 pages. You mad right now. You may not even feel that way tomorrow. Ain't gonna read all that. You want me to know something? Tell me.
Right. Call me up. Leave me a voicemail or something.
But look, another thing to healthy communication, there better be a final point. Because if you going on and on and on and on and on, I ain't getting ready to go around no mulberry bush with you.
You almost kind of formulate communication like an essay. What is your opening statement? What is the theme of this conversation? And what is the wrap up? Okay, like facts. Okay, because otherwise you're gonna rant on and on and on and on. Like, just hit the point.
Yeah. And when
Feel
you're
this
dealing with,
way. I want this to be like this. This
Mhm.
is an issue. Here's my suggested ways for us to fix it. Blah 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 or whatever. But like, yeah, you gonna have to wrap up.
yeah, when you're dealing with solution people, there needs to be a final destination to what you're saying. I am a solution person. I am not getting ready to go over the same thing with you. We're going to come to a decision on a solution. And if you want to continue to talk about a problem, I'm out of there. Because the point of healthy communication is to resolve,
Right.
right?
Well, here's the thing I want to say too. With what you're saying is a lot of times people don't understand that communication is a two-way street as well. Like, it's not just about I want to get what's on my chest off my chest.
Right.
Because sometimes people will tell you they want to have a conversation with you, and all they're really doing is venting to you. But if you don't talk back to them, that's all it is a vent session. It's not a conversation.
Right.
Somebody said, I don't know, Quisha, you giving me like to argue vibes. Oh, she don't like to argue, but she is definitely a debater.
I am a debater.
So you better come factual.
Wait a minute. You could have told me that in private, sis. You gonna tell me in front of the platform?
Hey, they need to know before they come to you with something. You better bring your stuff, because she will debate you. You better have some facts. If y'all haven't noticed, in our podcast, I am the Free Willy, and she is the factual. Like, let's bring the information. Let's get the statistics. Like, that is her. I am the like, I'm going to talk about the emotional part of what she's saying, how this relates. Okay. So, just to let you know.
I know what y'all.
She
gonna
has
do a podcast by
information in her
herself.
brain.
She can do a podcast by herself. Bye.
She ain't going nowhere because she ain't gonna be able to handle the fact that I ain't gonna give no information.
Oh, I can't.
I'm like, where the facts? Where's the facts? So that's to answer your question, Mondale.
Oh, really? Okay. I don't like to argue, but I yeah. Anyway, we're gonna move on. I ain't got time for that.
Intellectual in her. She liked to debate.
Yeah, I'm a debate. Listen, my sister is right. Okay. The bottom line is, if you gonna come to me with some stuff, you better have it to back it up.
I'm trying to tell you.
Or I ain't going. I ain't going. Now I will tell you my point after you state your point, and then I'm gonna move forward. Okay. All right. Enough about Quisha. Listen.
He said, really?
Who said really? You know what? I'm not gonna even address it right now. Because if you ain't down and had a real conversation with me, you don't know. Okay.
Well, he liked to argue too, so
yeah. I believe all day long. Let's roll. And not argue, debate. Before speaking, give some thought as to the message you want to convey.
He said that's that black woman stuff.
Oh, wait a minute.
You about to get punched in your
Hold on.
Uh-oh. He said he don't argue. You know, let's deal with that, because he said he don't argue. You know why black men don't argue? He said, I'm a great debater. You know why black men don't argue? It's because they already know they're wrong. You already know you're wrong. You don't want to argue about it, because you'll be arguing about what you've done or what you've said, and y'all want to dismiss it instead of dealing with it. Now, let's also talk about that for communication, is because sometimes it's not just the communication, it's what you're communicating about. Yes, there are things that you should just, leave it where it is and don't continue. If it's just going to create argument after argument after argument, that's not healthy. But some things need to be heard. Let's deal with it. We're talking about relationships. If you do wrong to somebody you're in a relationship with, and they want to discuss how the wrong you did to them affected them, you should give room to have a conversation. And although you have done something against that person and hurt them, and maybe you don't want to deal with that, or maybe you feel guilt behind that, or maybe you feel sorry, or whatever you feel, and you just don't want to deal with that, because I have noticed that men are typically like that. A woman will say, I did that. I'm sorry. I was hurt. I was angry. I was mad at you. Like, we will explain. We will go through why we did that. We're sorry that we did that. You left me no, like, we're going to talk about it. A man, when they make a mistake or they do something, it's like they just want you to forgive them and never talk about it again. Never bring it up again. And that is not a reality, because if you do something or say something that hurts me, I cannot just forget it and never bring it up again, especially if we don't have a conversation to find out, why would you even say that? Is that really
Right.
how you feel? And if that's how you feel, what have I done to make you feel that way? Like, we need answers. And so when you just want to be like, it's done, it's over with, leave it in the past, that is so insensitive. If you have done something, you need to be able to conversate about, yeah, I did this, or I'm not sure even why I did this. It's an impulse, it's a whatever, because that's how you move beyond what has been done. And it's also how you start to deal with what solutions you can possibly do so that you don't repeat behavior.
Now I'm getting ready to bust this bubble real quick.
He said
Men,
he need both of us to read The Successful Family by Creflo and Taffy Dollar.
let me get ready to talk real quick directly to men.
Go ahead.
You say you don't like to argue, but what you do like to do is avoid.
Good girl. Preach. Preach.
Now I'm a debater.
Somebody send this to some man somewhere.
I'm a debater. So what you like to do is avoid.
Avoidance. That's good.
When you avoid, you don't deal with the problem at hand. You would
That's
rather
it.
turn the attention
Oh, we.
on to something else so
Ooh.
that people, I ain't gonna just say men, can
Ooh.
avoid accountability
Ooh, we.
and responsibility for their actions.
Ooh, Jesus.
Okay?
Oh, Jesus.
So at the end of the day, you may not be arguing with that person verbally, but you arguing with them non-verbally by your avoidance.
Mm, mm, mm.
And the other person that is trying to get you to understand how they feel, they know that you're avoiding them, which is only going to make them want to explain more. So if there are any men out there that want to know why a woman keep on talking to them and keep on talking to them, your avoidance is telling her, keep talking to me.
That's it. Oh, that's good. Now that's a good revelation truth.
Only when you address the situation and make your amends for whatever transgression has occurred,
yes,
will the situation be resolved.
That's good.
And that's for you, Mondale. Next.
Yes. And I want to add, avoidance also makes you a coward.
Oh, now I ain't calling nobody no coward.
I am.
I just said avoidance.
You a coward. If you can't deal with a conversation from something you've done, you're a whole coward. Period. If you can't take accountability and deal with what you've said or done and how it has affected someone else, you're a coward. Among other things, but I'm gonna really say you're a coward.
Yeah,
because I ain't scared. If I hurt somebody with my words or my actions and you make me aware of it,
yeah,
I may feel ashamed, I may feel embarrassed, I may feel whatever, but I will have a conversation with you. I will explain myself. I will apologize over and over. I will apologize as many times as I need to make you feel comfortable.
yeah.
That is what you do when you take accountability for your actions. What I will not do is avoid and act like you should just get over it or be insensitive or act like it's all in your head. No, I'm going to take accountability. I said that. I shouldn't have said that. You're right. I shouldn't have. You know what I'm saying?
I'm smiling because I have been guilty of making people think that it's all in their head. I ain't did.
Yes.
The next one, be personable. Girl, you know I ain't staying on that too long.
Right. She like, I'm gonna get off of this while I expose myself. Next.
This is true. When communicating face to face with someone, use a friendly tone with a simple smile and ask a personal question. I mean, if you have that kind of relationship, okay? These things encourage the other person to engage in honest, open communication. When using written communication, you can achieve this by adding a simple message for the example. How was your weekend? I do it all the time with my job. I always start off with hello, how are you? Before I get to the rest of my email, which is oftentimes not pleasant. But
Well, that's good because I definitely be trying to get right to it. Like,
yeah. You need to
but
start.
I get what you're saying. You don't want them to feel defensive before you can have an opportunity
Yeah.
to discuss whatever. And that is something that I have learned as well. It's not always the easiest thing to do, especially if it's something that is really bothering you or has been on you. But
Mhm.
it's very important that if you really want to communicate with somebody who um may not even really want to have that talk, that you like, it's almost like you gotta come in peace. Like you gotta let them know, I'm not coming to attack you. I'm not
Yes.
coming to fight with you. I really just want us to get to the bottom of this and work this out.
That what you just said is a key to healthy communication.
Yeah.
Extend the olive branch. It doesn't make you a punk. It
Mhm.
doesn't make you weak. It makes
Right.
you a proper communicator. That
Yes.
opens the door to letting the person know that you actually care
Mhm.
about what they are about to say.
Yes.
The next thing is to be confident. I didn't say cocky and I didn't say prideful. I said confident.
Mhm.
Confidence, it underpins all effective communication. Other people will believe you will do as you say if you sound confident. Okay. Some of the best conners in the world
Mhm.
sound confident.
Right.
Okay. They will con you out of millions of dollars because they sound confident and you believe them. Now, I did not say arrogant and I didn't say prideful. You need to be confident in what you're saying to them. If you all have come up with a communicate or a solution, be confident in the solution that you've come up with so that you both can leave the situation
Right.
going after the goal of solution.
Yes.
You don't want to leave the situation on shaky ground unless that's agreed upon between the two of you. Now, if you say, hey, we're going to agree to just disagree, then that's your solution.
Right. That's your
That's your
resolve.
opinion. That's your resolve. You agree to disagree. But if you come with a solution combined, then you definitely want to leave that situation with a boast of confidence. Okay. And we already talked about empathy, and I explained what that was. Even if you don't agree with the person you're communicating with, it's very important that you understand and respect their view. Simply saying to that person, I understand what you're saying. Well, it will let them know that you have been listening to them and that you respect their point of view. Now,
Right.
don't say it the way that I told you that I have been saying it, which is dismiss it, where I'll be like, understandable. You see this face?
Mhm.
That means I totally dismissed you.
Right.
But when I'm saying to you, I understand what you're saying. And then what you do is you can pull out nuggets from what they said to reassure them that you understand what they're saying. If someone said to you, I baked a cake and I forgot to add the egg, right? But I added the flour and I added the powdered sugar and the baking powder and all of that, then you can say, I understand. So you forgot the egg, huh? And that will reassure them that you understand what they're saying. And that is how you are being empathetic because you're placing yourself in their shoes. Convey respect. Convey respect. Other people will be more likely to engage in communication with you if you respect them and their ideas. Simply addressing another person using their name will make them feel appreciated. Since you have anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, I definitely want to be like, first of all, with what you just said, I think it's important too because when you actually communicate by listening, sometimes you hear things that you did not hear and you can like get your own resolve because you're really hearing that person. There's something called ambush listening, and that's what most people do when they call themselves having a conversation. They listen for things to use against you in a conversation. That is called ambush listening. Or they're looking for you to tell a lie, or they're looking for inconsistency. But when you learn how to just listen to what a person is saying and understand what they're saying, you can better comprehend their state of mind and why they feel, and then it's easier to address them from a place of I hear you, not from a place of I'm trying to discredit you. If you're having a conversation with a person and in your mind you're listening to something to attack them with, or you're listening for something to discredit them, then you already have started that conversation incorrectly because you're not coming to resolve anything or even understand. You're coming to make them feel bad, look bad, or discredit them. And that's what most people do in conversations and in communication. Even
Yeah.
in a relationship, when you get upset or you get angry or they hurt your feelings or whatever's done, you don't look at them in a loving way. You
Right.
don't look at them with understanding, or as she said earlier, with empathy. You look at them like, how dare you come for me? Let me come for you back. So it's a tick for tat. But when you communicate with love, when you communicate and you like, okay, they said something really hurtful, they did something really hurtful, but it's very hard for me to believe they meant to do this. When
Yeah.
you come with that mentality, you can say, hey, when you said that, that really hurt my feelings. And it's
Mhm.
just so not like you. Like, what? Why did you say that?
Yeah.
Like, you come in a place where now you can hear them and maybe they wasn't even aware of it, or they were in their emotions, and you give them the opportunity to explain their behavior. And
Yeah.
so a lot of times we don't do that. We just get in our feelings because what you did hurt me, what you did made me feel embarrassed or whatever. So now I'm talking to you with the point of I want to embarrass you now, I want to hurt you now, I want to bring you down now. And so I think that's important to consider as well in communication.
And that should never be your goal to want to bring somebody else down because you know how you want to be treated. You don't want nobody to do that to you. But that brings me to my next point. When you said, hey, you hurt me or you did this, you're addressing that. Give and receive feedback. Giving and receiving appropriate feedback is an essential communication skill, particularly for those of us whose roles include managing other people. Providing constructive feedback as well as giving someone praise can greatly increase motivation and build morale. It is just as important that you accept and encourage feedback from others. Always listen to feedback and act positively on it. If you're unsure about any aspect of the feedback, simply ask a question to gain clarification from the other person. Feedback is important. Feedback is important. It's a way that you give your feedback. Now, remember, I just said earlier, people don't always need no, as Aaliyah said, 4-page letter.
Mm.
Okay. Sometimes a simple I understand and then taking out some nuggets of what they have said to you is feedback for them. So positive feedback and reinforcement is always good. Consider the best medium or the best solution for the situation. The final item is knowing what is the best form of communication to use. Being mindful of using the best form of communication will result in your response being a positive one. Consider things such as who it is you're trying to communicate with. I've said it repeatedly since we've been talking. How important the topic is, and how busy that person might be. For example, asking your boss for a raise is never going to be taken seriously if you do it by text.
Right.
So consider what is important.
Mm-hmm.
We have to know the audience in which we're speaking to. You are not going to walk into a boardroom and address the people that sit on the board as you would do your homies. It's
Right.
not the same. So consider your method of communication as well. If you're going to write an email, then address people by name. Ask them how their day is going before you go into what is needed to happen, or if you're going to even reprimand. I've learned that even if you're in a position of reprimanding people, you definitely want to start off with a good quality. This is for the job stuff. You definitely want to start off with a good quality about the person, because oftentimes, excuse me, after a reprimand, people will walk away feeling awful. They'll walk away feeling terrible, like they're not doing a good job or whatever. But when you start the communication off by saying, hey, I really liked how you presented this graph
Mm-hmm.
the other day. And then you go into the reprimand, okay? But there's also levels to a reprimand. So if it's at the final level, then you're going to be a little bit harder. But here's one thing I do want to say to us as women. Everything does not have to be 100. Everything does not have to be 100. You're going to feel how I feel today. I'm going to let you have this today. Often some of us come straight out the gate, double barrel, ready. You don't have to start off that way to convey how you're feeling. We have been raised in a society, and we talked about this before, that has taught us that we have to fight for everything. We got to fight for a seat at the table. We got to fight to be heard. We got to fight for this and we got to fight for that. But baby, once you get the seat at the table, do you continue to go on with that same behavior, or do you show them that you can rise above that and communicate a different way? If you're going to fight for a seat at the table, don't fight the way society has painted us to fight. We are highly intelligent. We have many different avenues of ways that we can communicate and ways that we can level up. You know, I often complain about social media and the way people represent themselves when they want to convey a message. My auntie said this to me a long years and years ago, and I have held on to that, to this saying, to this day. If it ain't directed, it ain't respected. With social media has allowed people the platform to say things and get away with it with no accountability and no avoidance. Okay. Because
I do want to add something to
yeah,
that. I think what you said about not having to be 100 all the time, I think that's also a testament to why people need to communicate, because what I find is women, especially who start off everything on 100, it's
yeah,
because they hold things in.
yeah,
So then you let one little thing disrupt you, and like you come out like you ain't about to do this and you ain't about to do that, because they feel like that person has been putting stuff on them and on them. But if you don't ever communicate that,
yeah,
you just look crazy. You understand what I'm
yeah,
saying? Like, it's not okay for you to punish someone because you haven't spoken up
yeah,
about things that they have done or said that has bothered you. Is
yeah.
That's why it's important to communicate,
Very
because
much.
if you let that stuff pile up and you flip out on them, guess what? It's not their fault, it's your fault, because you have a voice to be able to sit down with someone and say, hey, you've done this a couple of times now, and this is really offensive to me, or this is unacceptable for me. And I just want to know, like, are you aware that you're doing this? You know what I mean? Do you feel like it's okay for you to do it? Like, it's time to have a conversation. If it's something that has happened once, we may overlook it and just think, oh, they may have had a bad day or something might be going on. But if it happens again, I need to be able to come to you and say, hey, this has happened, twice now. And it bothers me that you have done it, and literally have a conversation and communicate. But if you don't ever communicate with someone about something that they have said or done, and you just keep taking it and taking it, that person ain't abusing you. And I really want to deal with this, because when you
Go
don't
ahead.
communicate properly, it leads to other problems and other issues. And a lot of times people will present themselves in a victim's light, but they've never told that person that they were hurt or offended by something they said and did. And if you don't open up your mouth and communicate, that other person does not know. And people will oftentimes say, oh, they know better, or they know that bothered me. Anybody? No, they don't. Most of the time they don't, because if they did, they wouldn't keep doing it. And if they do know, and you're not.
Uh-oh. I think she might be frozen. But she had a good point, and we were going to go into communicating in relationships, and that's kind of what she's talking about right now. When you healthily, okay, I think she might be reconnecting. When you healthily communicate in relationships, it increases trust. It gives you better conflict resolution. And I'm going to hit this. It increases intimacy. All right. It increases intimacy. Discovering how to improve communication in relationships is excellent for your emotional intimacy, or the ability to listen, understand, and be compassionate towards your partner. Developing your communication skills shows that you respect and value your partner and their feelings and opinions. When people feel honored and accepted in this way, emotional intimacy is skyrockets and physical intimacy follows. Okay, so emotional intimacy is highly, highly important. It leads to better conflict resolution. We all know couples who seem to fight all the time, and those who seem to never fight at all. While all relationships have ups and downs, both frequent fighting and no fighting at all are signs of a lack of communication in relationships. The key isn't to never disagree with your partner, it's to improve your conflict resolution skills by using the tips that we've given you, so that when the disagreements do happen, you're able to turn them into something that strengthens your relationship. Real communication in relationships mean that you can go to your partner about anything, sharing happiness, sadness, good days, and bad. You're willing to be vulnerable with them because you know that they will support you and love you no matter what. Absolute courage and vulnerability is one of the 5 disciplines of love. And we will go into that another time. We'll talk about those disciplines because it leads to total trust in your relationship. People say all the time, we ain't got no trust. We ain't got no trust. We ain't got no trust. But are you communicating in order to have that trust? One final point: is there such a thing as over communication? Y'all may be surprised to hear this. Yes, there is. Over communication in relationships does exist in certain contexts. There are 2 common defense mechanisms when people are feeling anxious or unsure of how to express themselves: internalizing and externalizing. People who internalize tend to shut down and withdraw during conflicts. Those who externalize want to talk it out, sometimes excessively. A lot of women do that. We are guilty of talking. I just said we will text you or write you a 4-page letter. I don't do that anymore. Thank goodness. In both cases, more communication doesn't necessarily equal good communication. Internalizers may need space before they're ready to talk, and externalizers may need to slow down and refine their message. Before you're tempted to say more, think about how you can say it better. Let me say that again. Before you're tempted to say more, think about how you can say it better. Oftentimes, we do not think about what we are going to say, especially if you own 10 and you're in an argument, you just going, and then you're spewing the first thing that comes to your mind. And another thing, if you keep things bottled up, if you keep holding things in, eventually it could be a year later and you're just now conveying to the other person how you feel. And they're saying, dang, we've been gravy for a whole year. They are not going to know that that issue was bothering you because you didn't effectively communicate that. Okay. I was just talking about relationship stuff. I kind of hit on what you were talking about, adding that there is a such thing as too much communication, how we internalize and externalize, and how healthy communication leads to a certain level of intimacy. Emotionally, you connect, and emotionally, when you connect to your partner, that's going to make the physical. Now, you know, we grown over here. That's going to make the physical connection even better because you have emotionally connect. Men, if there are any men watching, listen, your woman, you need to cater to those emotional needs before the physical. If you can get to her emotionally, that is going to make your intimacy better. I am a mental person. You have got to stimulate my mind. There needs to be something that you've communicated to me that I need to dig a little deep. I need to not know it. You know, I have to learn something from you, which is why we don't go out and get the same exact partner as us. The better relationships or partnerships that you have is when you pair with people that know things that you don't know. In a healthy choir, they don't all sing the same note. What makes a beautiful choir? Different notes. Okay. The biggest misconception about how to communicate in a relationship is that communication is the same as talking or making conversation. I'm going to say that again. Some people think that communication is the same as talking or making conversation. If I'm making conversation with you, that does not mean that I am communicating with you on a certain topic. I may just be asking you about the weather. Communication in relationships at its core is about connecting. It's about connecting and using your verbal, written, and physical skills to fulfill your partner's needs. Now we talk about relationship.
And that can make or break a relationship because if you feel like that your partner deals with you on the same level he would deal with a stranger, there's no intimacy there. You start to feel lack. You feel like you're not special. I don't need the man that I'm with to make conversation with me as if I'm a stranger he just met. If we cannot dialogue on a deeper level, a more intimate level, if we don't like connect intellectually, mentally, then there's no point for our existence. And I think a lot of people don't understand that. And I think for women, sometimes they don't understand that that's what's missing. They just know something's missing.
Yeah.
And then for men, they don't understand how important that part is because they want to make it all about sex. But sex isn't everything. You can get good sex anywhere. That is not what makes you stay with a person.
Now. Hold on now. I do not agree.
I agree. I agree.
I don't think you can get no good.
It's
Let me stop.
listen,
Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go
if
ahead.
you
I ain't
just
gonna go
want
there. That's
if you
another
just want
conversation.
if you just want a big thing and a good time, there's plenty of men who ain't nothing elsewhere
Let's move on.
and provide that. Okay. That is not what you want. You're looking for something, like she said, it's mental. And when a man understands that he has to mentally stimulate a woman before he really physically can, then he's learned something there. And most men do not understand that fact. I don't they don't know. They do
Lord,
not know.
mercy. I feel the pull to go this route, and I'm not trying
But
to.
let's move along before
Yeah,
this
I don't
becomes
even want to hit this.
another discussion.
All I'm gonna say is, listen, man, all women ain't the same. Okay.
Absolutely not the same.
You cannot stimulate every woman the same.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what I'm gonna tell you. It's not about understanding your partner's point of view, offering support and letting your partner know you are their number one fan. It's a reassurance, right? It's easy to let real connection and passion diminish, especially in long-term relationships.
Mhm. That's good.
It's easy to let real connection and passion diminish, especially in long-term relationships. People say it all the time. They say we just drifted apart. Did you drift apart because you weren't communicating healthy
Yeah,
in a healthy
that's
way?
I guarantee that's a huge part of it.
Oh, it's so big. But the first key to how to improve communication in a relationship is to admit that you're not connecting the way you used to.
Mhm.
Talk with your partner about rekindling your connection and provide a starting point. If your partner isn't on board, don't worry. Relationships are a place where you go to give and not one where you go to take. I'm going to say that again. Relationships are a point where you go to give and not to take. If you're going in, oh, I don't want to go
You
there.
better go there. Somebody needs some help today.
Please don't
Help
let me go
church.
there.
Church. We need to
No,
help somebody
listen,
today.
a
You
lot
may
of
say
people,
you may
I done
save a
heard
relationship today.
I done heard it too many times. I ain't doing this until she can show me this. I ain't doing this until a female can do this, or she can only give me this, or she can only give me that. You do not go into a relationship with what you can take. You go into it with what you can give. And then a lot of times women go in, I want to give, I want to give, I want to give, I want to prove, I want to prove, I want to prove. You ain't got to prove. All you got to do is stand in the confidence of who you are. The one thing that a person should know about you when you're in a relationship with them, if they know you, is that your word is bond. I'm so tired of women having to prove themselves in a relationship first before, like they gotta prove some type of loyalty. Brother, the loyalty is that I'm here. You're welcome.
Yes, I chose to be here. See, people been getting mad at me.
Ooh.
But the reality is when a man starts talking, because I had this beautiful conversation with a good friend of mine, one of my best friends. And he said, I'm a provider, I'm a this, I'm a that, I'm a that. What do the women bring to the table?
Oh, this table, this
And
table.
in that moment, in that moment, we're having dialogue. So I said, well, a good woman would bring this, and that, and that, and that. You know what I'm saying? But essentially, what I thought about is she brings her. She brings her. Because if we really want to talk about it, and y'all know I'm sorry, I'm a preacher, so I'm always going to talk about God and how he created us and all of that. But the reality is our creation roles were designed for specific things. There was something that Adam was given dominion. Adam had to name the animals. Adam had to tend to the garden. God created Eve to help him. Can I say this to you men? The woman is the table. she to help. If she the right kind of woman.
Mm-hmm.
That's the bottom line. So you ain't got to worry about what money she got, what job she got, what kind of woman is she.
Mm-hmm.
See, the reason why we worried about what kind of money you got, because that's a part of your creation role you're supposed to provide. The reason why we're worried about your intellectual level and your relationship with God is because you're supposed to lead and teach. The reason why we're worried about those things is because that's a part of your role. I'm supposed to help.
Mm-hmm.
Am I the kind of woman who can do that? Am
Yeah.
I the kind of woman who's all about myself?
Yeah.
I'm probably not going to help you if I'm selfish. Am I the materialistic woman who, if you can't do for me, I don't got nothing for you?
Yeah.
Probably not who you want. But here's the thing. If you're the right kind of man, you know what kind of woman to look for. But if you're a man who believes if I give this, you gonna give that, then you got your exchange.
Yeah.
So at the end of the table, if a man wants to know what I bring to the table, I'm no longer running down my resume. If you want to know what I bring to the table, I'm like the Star soundtrack. I bring me.
Yeah.
And if you know me, you know that when you get me, baby, you got the table.
Well,
because who I am speaks for itself. And that's the kind of woman a good man, a real man should want, is a woman who don't have to run her resume down because you done watched her. You done looked at her do what she do, and you know to have her in your corner, baby, listen, I bring me. That's it.
I agree with you, sis. I'm a firm believer of this. The Bible says that he has already prepared a table for us.
Come on now.
So if he has already prepared a table for us, why am I bringing something to the table? No, it's about how you gonna sit at the table, how you gonna eat at the table.
But see, that's why I said I am the table.
Yeah,
I'm already prepared. I'm the table.
How is you gonna manage what's on the table?
Talk, baby. Now you talking, sis.
Now listen, I'm not running down what I bring to the table. The table is prepared.
Come on now.
How do you manage what's on there? We gotta go back to the word. Now he say, I have prepared a table for you. That means that everything you need is already there. How will you manage what's on the table?
Well, God.
How will you sit at my table if invited? How will I sit at your table? We both in this relationship have tables.
Yes, God.
How will we maintain each other's table?
Listen.
That is the key. So don't ask me what I bring to the table. Okay? You need to have a table because I got one. How will we maintain?
Listen, I have matured, sis. I have matured. And if a man gotta ask me what I bring to the table, he ain't the one.
Yes, exactly. A real woman, you already gonna know.
Just like I ain't gotta ask you. I ain't gotta ask you what you bring. I ain't gotta ask you what your value is. Yeah. I know. I wouldn't be talking to you if you didn't have the value.
Right, right. If I picked you, there's obviously a quality that I see in you in regards to your table. So there's no need to ask that. Women, stop answering that.
Yeah.
Stop.
I'm telling you, sis, I'm telling you, automatically, from this moment on, if a man asks me, what do I bring to the table? I'm going to say, it was very nice to meet you. You have a good life.
Yes, stop.
Because you ain't the one. We ain't going to keep dealing with people who don't know who we is or undervalue who we are.
Right.
Not doing that no more. Because if they undervalue you, if they don't see who you are, they'll never appreciate you. They'll be fighting for appreciation in your relationship for as long as you got it.
So those are my points on communication. I mean, we really can go into this even deeper in regards to intimacy, because even in intimacy, communicating when you are being intimate, this is a grown person's podcast. Communicating when you are being intimate, let your partner know, or let me put it this way, it teaches you what your partner likes. What turns them on?
Mm-hmm.
What makes the well run? What makes the well dry? I'm just
Absolutely.
saying. I'm not trying to be too graphic, but you know what I mean.
We grown folks.
Yeah, what gets the fountain pumping and what cuts the fountain off. Communication is important, especially in intimacy. It's not the only key, but
Right.
it is one of the most essential.
It is very
Everybody
important.
thinks that sex is important. Everybody wants to say that sex is important. Sex is only important when you have intimacy. If that's the way that one of the ways, I should say, shouldn't be the only way that you're connecting.
Right.
It's through that physical touch.
Absolutely.
Now, if it's a wham bam, thank you, ma'am, then of course it's gonna dry out. It's gonna die down because there was no intimacy in that moment.
But even that further explains why it's important for communication and intimacy,
Very much.
because a wham bam thank you ma'am doesn't require that. So if I'm your woman, if I'm your wife, you're not gonna give me no wham bam thank you ma'am experience.
Right. Right. Exactly. Intimacy is important and communicating in intimacy is important. So those are my points. We've taught you the do's and the don'ts and effective communication even in relationships. And so hopefully someone enjoyed that.
Yes. Well, I know in my closing,
Yes.
I want to challenge people to ask themselves, A, are you a good communicator? If you're not, why aren't you a good communicator? If you are a good communicator, are you patient with those who are not good communicators?
Yeah.
Those are just some personal questions I want you to ask yourself, because I can guarantee probably 90% of your issues with anyone is bad communication or a lack of communication or improper communication. So I'm telling you,
Yeah.
if we want to fix the state of our relationships, whether they be between husband and wife, girlfriend and boyfriend, mother and father, brother and sister, if you want to repair those relationships or increase the effectiveness of those relationships, you're going to have to fix your communication. So that's what I would say in closing.
I don't have any closing remarks. I think that you pretty much summed it up with that. If there are any questions, if anybody has any comments, they have any opinions that they want to give, we open that. We're welcome to that. Look at my stance. It's not a standoff stance. As you can see on my face, I'm not even being dismissive. She don't have the resting face. We are open to what you have to say. Absolutely. And even your opinion. Even if we don't agree, everybody is entitled to that. So hit us up. Hit us up. You can check us out on the platform, Facebook, YouTube, Spotify, some other places. There's also a website. You can send us a message. If there's any topic that you would like for us to cover, let's dive into it. Look, we are very transparent. And so either you're going to like it or you're not going to like it. But we both going to sleep at night.
Absolutely.
Today. So this Sister Conversations in Black, and we just want to be real and really tackle the things that's plaguing us as a people. I am so tired. Now, one thing I will say, and I say this a lot, stop. I'm sick of certain things. I'm sick of foolishness. You don't want to change your life, and it's a little bit off topic, but we're gonna get back to it. You don't want to change your life, but when you run into trouble, you want some help. And it seemed like that's with our people. Could be everybody, but right now I'm dealing with our people.
Right.
You don't want to change. And then you think these moments, it's a temporary fix. When you get a temporary fix, you go back to your lifestyle of being a hooligan. You're not living, let me speak to you directly. You're not living a high life. Those are brief moments
Yes.
brief times.
Right.
Just like when you on the substance. Okay? I'm sick of it. You think you lit because you dress a certain way or this and that, and by all means, your girl ain't no hater because I love a good pair of heels. I had on some today that was shy. Okay? I love a good pair of heels. But those things should not be the end all and be all to your life. And I'm sick of it. I'm sorry. It's all on social media. What they doing and how they eating crab legs and seafood boils and this and that and the third. Like, girl, sit down. We've been doing that stuff. Experience you some real high moments. I'm gonna leave that alone. Maybe that we'll make that another podcast because I'm telling you,
Oh,
it has really messed me up this week. I'm just tired of the foolishness. Like I be looking at some stuff, sis, and I be like, do they think that they ate that? You ain't eat that.
they be thinking they're winning.
You anyway,
Listen,
y'all.
I want people to redefine winning. Okay? Redefine winning. Because some of y'all think y'all winning, you losing. You blindly losing.
Temporary highs. Temporary.
Yes. But we're
And
gonna wrap up our little temporary rant here. Okay, and just say, as my
yes,
sister
yeah, we're
said,
done. My bad.
hey, I was about to go right on in with you, okay? Because I think we all tired of some stuff. But hey, if you can't air it out on Sister Conversations in Black, then baby, where can you air it out at? All right.
Listen.
So thank y'all so much for joining us for episode 24. So listen, if you're gonna talk to me, learn how to talk to me. All right. Have a good one. We'll see you guys next week for another exciting and interesting dialogue. We love you. Bye-bye.